Estimating the yield curve. Estimating the yield curve. So the yield curve shows the rate rather, the yield curve shows the rate for immediate settlements. In previous examples, you were given the government yield curve or the company's yield curve. But in your exam condition, the examiner may decide not to give you the yield curve. You may be given a question and asked to calculate or estimate the yield curve. How do you estimate the yield curve? So among other techniques, the bootstrapping techniques is basically used in your exam to estimate the yield curve. So basically, if you want to calculate the YTM, you need if you want to calculate the yield to maturity, you need interest payments. To calculate your yield to maturity, you need the bond price. And you need the spot yield curve, the annual spot yield curve. So this is the coupon, the interest here is the coupon, the bond price is the bond issue price, and the spot yield curve. Now, if you look at this example, let me read the example. There are 3 bond issues for a given risk class. All bond paying interest annually. Relevant information is as follows. Bond A, B, and C with different maturity dates. Maturity date for bond A is 1 year. The maturity date for bond B is 2 years. And the maturity date for bond C is 3 years. The coupon has been given 7%, 6, and 5 respectively. So in this question now, I already have the market value of the bond to be 103, 102, and 100. The 3 bonds are redeemed at par. Required construct the yield curve. So the requirement for this question is to construct the yield curve. Now, I want you to look at this. The market value here has been given. Most of the examples that we've been solving, you need to calculate the bond value. But in this question, the bond value has been given. But what you want to do is to calculate the yield curve. And how do you calculate the yield curve? We are going to use bond A, B, and C to construct this yield curve. So let's see how this will work out. So this is the formula for calculating the market value of a bond. This is the formula for calculating that. Now the market value, we already know the market value of the bond. So the market value of the bond upon A is 103. The interest rates is 7%, that's 7 naira. But we don't know R, which is the discount rate for year 1. So this is your cash flow from the bond is always your interest plus your redemption value. So redemption value. So this is the PV of interest, present value of your interest, And also, this is the present value of the redemption value of your bond. So I can discount my interest by saying 8. Okay, in this example now, it's the interest is 7 naira. So I can say 7 naira all over your discount factor, which is 1 plus R plus the redemption value, which is 100 all over 1 plus R. But instead of breaking this formula this way, since a 1-year bond, I am discounting it with the same denominator. So why not just add the interest plus the principal and discount it with year 1 discount rates? So remember also that, again, that's one, if I have 8 naira and I want to discount it in 1 plus R raised over minus 1. This equation can be rewritten to be 8 all over 1 plus R. So that's where we got this equation from. So let's look at the question. Back to the question. Therefore, since we know the market value, this is the formula, we bring it the market value 103 is equal to interest plus redemption. Interest is 7. Okay, so our redemption value is 100. So interest plus redemption value, that will give 107 over 1 plus R raised to power 1, if you like. Now, cross multiply. This becomes 103 equal 107 all over 1. Let me take this again. If I cross multiply, what will come here will be 1 plus R, and this will go down. So it becomes 107 over 103. Therefore, 1 plus R will be equal to this divided by this. That will give us 1.0388. Therefore, R will be equal to 1.0388 minus 1. So R will be equal to 0.388 or 3.88%. So from the calculation, the spot yield curve for year 1 is 3.88%. That means all cash flow in year 1 will be discounted at 3.88%, or the investor that have a 1-year bond, that 1-year bond will be discounted at 3.88%. So for the 1-year bond, the investor will receive interest and principal at the end of year 1, and this cash flow will be discounted at 3.88%. For the investor that has a 2-year bond, the first year, the investor will receive interest of 6%, which is 6 naira. This will be discounted at 1 plus R, which will be now the R for year 1, we've known it to be 1 point. That's 1 plus R will now be 1.0388. So the second year, since a 2-year bond, the investor is going to receive both interest and principal 106 all over. Now, the R, which is the spot yield curve for year 2, is unknown. This will be 1 plus R because R is unknown, raised to power 2. This first one is raised to power of 1. So let's look at the way this will be solved. So for bond B, the market value, bond B. So the market value of the bond, market value is 102. The coupon rates, the interest rates, is 6%. And the bond will also be redeemed at par. So from our formula, 102, which is the market value, will be equal to, so how do I calculate the market value? Year 1, the company will receive interest of 6 naira. We've calculated the discount factor or the lenders with required rate of return for year 1 to be 3.88. So 1 plus R, that will give us 1.0388. It's a 2-year bond. So in year 2, the company or the investor rather will receive 106, which is 100 plus interest of 6 all over 1 plus R raised to power 2. Therefore, this becomes 102 is equal to 6 divided by 1.0388. That gives 5.78 plus. Now we cannot divide this because we don't know what the R for year 2 is. We bring it down back 106 all over 1 plus R raised to power 2. To collect like terms together, this becomes 102 minus 5.78 is equal 106 all over 1 plus R raised to power 2. So this minus this will give 96.22 equal to 106 all over 106 all over 1 plus R. 106 all over 1 plus R raised to power 2. So the next step will now be, let me go back. So this is raised to power 2. So the next step will be to collect like terms. 1 plus R raised to power 2. We move to the next, move here. So 1 plus R 1 plus R raised to power 2 is equal to 106 over 96.22. So from your knowledge of change of subject or formula in mathematics, we want R to be isolated. So I will take the square root of both sides. So 1 plus R will be the square root of 1 plus R raised to power 2. And I also need to take the square root of this side, 106 all over 96.22. So this becomes 1 plus R equal to square root of this will be 1.102. So what will that finally give us? 1 plus R will be equal to 1.0496. Therefore, R will be equal to 1.0496 minus 1. So R will be equal to 0.496 or 4.96%. So this is for the second bond. Let's look at the information for bond 3. So we've been able to establish the spot yield curve for year 1, which we got 0.0. Let me write it in percentage. Take this out. 3.88 cents. For year 2, we calculated to be 4.96%. Now what is left is year 3. What will be the spot yield curve for year 3? So we've known that the interest rates we've done bond A, bond B, and bond C. So we have used bond A to determine the spot yield curve for year 1, bond B to determine the spot yield curve for year 2. Now we use bond C to determine the spot yield curve for year 3. So this interest is 5% of 100, which is 5 naira. 5 naira. This 5 naira year 1 will be discounted using 3.88. 1 plus 0.388. Year 2, 5 naira will also be discounted using 1. This will be raised to power 1. 1 plus 0.496 raised to power 2. Then the final year will now be 105 all over 1 plus R raised to power 3. So this R is what we will be looking for in bond C. Let's go back to the notes. So from the notes, 4.96 is the spot yield curve for year 2. Finally, we're looking at bond C. So finally, bond C. Okay, so bond C. What is the information for bond C? The market value of the bond is 100. Market value equal 100. The coupon rate is 5%. And it will be redeemable in 3 years' time. Basically, anytime a bond is trading at par, which is at 100, and will be redeemed at par at 100. The yield to maturity on that bond and also the coupon rate will be the same, will be 5%. So in this question, the coupon rate I'm expecting, or the spot rate for year 3, I'm expecting it to be 5%. Let's do the calculation. So market value is 100 is equal to 5 year 1 all over 1.0388, which was calculated earlier. For year 2, it will be 5 all over 1.0496. For the final year, to be interest plus principal 105 all over 1 plus r raised to power 3. This is raised to power 2, and this is raised to power of 1. So 100 will be equal to 4.81 plus 4.54 plus 105 all over 1 plus r raised to power 3. So if I add this to, I will have 100 is equal to 4.81 plus 4.54 as 9.35 plus 105 all over 1 plus r raised to power 3. Bring like terms together, this become 100 minus 90 minus 9.35 equal to 105 all over 1 plus r raised to power 3. So 100 minus 9.35, that gives 90.65. So 90.65 is equal to 105 all over 1 plus r raised to power 3. So cross multiply, this comes here to be 1 plus r raised to power 3 will now be equal to 105 all over 90.65. Now I want to isolate r. I want the r to be alone. So 1, I will take the cube roots of both sides, plus r will now be equal to, before I do that, let me divide this first. No problem, let me continue. Let me divide it to make it easier to understand. So this divided by this will give us 1.158. So I can now take the cube roots. So 1 plus r will now be equal to cube root of 1.158. Therefore, r will be equal to 0.501. or approximately 5.1, 5.01%. So what's now is to construct the spot yield curve. Construct the spot yield curve. So the spot yield curve, spot yield curve will be as follows. For the 1 year bond, we calculated it to be 3.88. For the 2 year bond, calculated it to be 4.96. And for the 3 year bond, the value here is 5.01. So this is the spot yield curve. This is the way you calculate the spot yield curve using bond of the same risk class to calculate the spot yield curve. If you observe, we use the lender's required rate of return for bond A to determine what that of bond B will be, and we now use AB to determine what bond C will be. So we assume that the risk for the 3 bond is the same. If the risk for the 3 bonds is not the same, then it means you cannot use bond A to determine bond B because the risk will be different, and lender's required rate of return is based on the perceived risk.